What's it mean? 11.
Friends don't play.
Stop it! You're freaking her out! She's freaking me out! The upside down.
Do you understand what he's talking about?
No.
I found the chocolate bunny!
Oh God, please tell me it's not the kid.
I need to die!
Warnings are for coffee and contemplation.
Holy shit.
Welcome back. My name is Chris.
I'm Andy.
Oh God!
I'm also going through puberty.
Welcome back. My name is Chris.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Steve.
And this is Streaming Things, the unofficial podcast of Stranger Things. We appreciate all of your listenership. It's growing quickly, quicker than a whole batch of demogorgons just spreading through Hawkins. That's the speed.
You guys have
pretty
molted
quickly.
many times.
Yes.
We become larger.
That's some gooey molters, those demogorgons, by the way.
Yeah.
We'll get down to some brass tacks just real quickly. If you would like to send any feedback, send it to streamingthingspod@gmail.com. As we approach our last 4 or 5 episodes, depending on how many recaps and stuff we do after the season ends, we will need a new show or streaming property to move to. And we would like some suggestions if you enjoy listening to our sultry sounds here on Streaming Things. Then we need to continue doing that. We need your help deciding what you would like to hear us dive into. So please do that. And we've still got a little contest going on. We've talked about the last couple episodes how we extended it due to our rising listenership. So November 7th is the newest and final, I promise, deadline. So all you got to do is rate and review the podcast. Take a screenshot of that, preferably on iTunes, but on whatever app that you found us on.
We got some Stitcher listeners out there.
We got some Stitchers.
We got one Sonos person out there.
I know. And I want to know how Sonos... I want to buy one of those.
Yeah.
I didn't know they had their own broadcasting system there.
I didn't either.
But anywho, send that a screenshot to streamingthingspod@gmail.com after you send in your feedback. And you will be entered automatically to win a $100 Amazon gift card. You can spend that anywhere in the Amazon jungle. Just realized that's what it sounds like. I got a gift card to the Amazon. I could buy a panther.
Oh, I need one of them.
Oh, geez.
Boy, howdy, I could use a panther to clean up something around the house.
It costs more than $100.
We don't know, do we?
Damn it.
Get me a little dart frog, maybe.
If your name's Dustin, you'll probably want to get a dart frog.
I've been watching that Planet Earth. I know lots of critters in the Amazon we could buy. Okay, that Minnesota Amazon gift card joke is played out. I will take it too far, so I should just stop right there. This time we're going to review Chapter 6, The Spy. In a world where Will's connection to a shadowy evil grows stronger, but no one quite sure how to stop it. I totally fucked up the grammar there. Oh, it was going well. It's like as if the trailer guy had just slight touch of downs. But no one quite sure how to stop it. Oh no. That's offensive.
The bad guy's coming.
That's offensive. Elsewhere, Dustin and Steve forge an unlikely bond. All right. That's what Netflix has to say about this episode. Now let's get down to the real episode. What we have to say about it. Opens up cold open, rushing Will to the hospital with some smash cuts that I really enjoyed. Spraying down Hopper. I really enjoyed that one.
You just like to see Hopper getting sprayed down.
Always a fan of that. Insert shot of the shower head, stuff like that. I just really appreciated the editing there. I was horrified to realize he literally, I knew he was in great pain, but I think he literally felt the flames upon his skin for a long time.
His insides are burning.
That is horrifying. I felt so bad for that little boy. There's no joke that I'm going to about it. I was just internally struggling with how bad I felt for Will.
Yeah, because getting burnt sucks. Like, I've put my hand on an oven before. When it's hot, that doesn't feel good. That's not a party. That's not a vacation.
I have had my head aflame before.
Jesus.
It's a long story. Andy was there. He thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
We were playing with fire and some kerosene, and I had really long hair. and we were stupid kids. It caught my whole head on fire. I had third-degree burns and stuff.
Jesus Christ. And Andy was just laughing.
And that was mere...
It was really funny. I'm sorry.
It was probably 10 to 15 seconds, whereas Will, an hour?
Yeah, it's insane.
I mean, you can't mentally bounce back from that. And I think Noah Schnapp's performance is stunning. I mean, this little boy is going to win some Emmys, most assuredly.
Absolutely.
If fucking Barb can get a nomination, I think Noah Schnapp should clear house. It's just my opinion. But who the fuck am I?
Justice for Will.
Justice for Will at the Emmys. That's horrifying. So then we cut to Steve carries the bat in his trunk, we are to assume, or he went and got it between episodes. What do you guys think?
I would like to think that he just carries it around now.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, this is like his point of pride. Like,
it's not even his bat. Like, that was Jonathan
Right.
and or Nancy paid for that with their money.
Well, he earned it.
And he did earn it. He did
earned
earn
it.
it. But like Andy said, if he doesn't just drive around carrying that bat, I don't want to live in that world.
But that would make the last episode a little silly where Dustin's like, still got the bat? He's like, what bat?
this bat?
If he carries it in his trunk, I feel like he'd been like, the bat? Fuck yeah, I've been waiting for this. Tell me where you need the bat, I'll bring the bat.
I always have the bat, Dustin.
Yeah, so Dustin leads him to the cellar, and Steve's kind of hoping that he's pranking him, but I'm gonna fucking kill you if this is a prank, kid. Puts the flashlight in his face for a long time, and Dustin's like, no, unfortunately, this is a real deal here, bud. I think he says, how did you know it wasn't a dog or something like that?
A lizard.
A lizard, yeah. Because its face opened up and it ate my fucking cat. And Steve is just like, oh, well, yeah, that would give. That's not a lizard thing typically. Steve creeps down into the cellar and finds a molted skin. So it's even bigger now and is strong enough to dig its way through concrete and make a massive tunnel up into the forest that we all know is right by everything, right? Leading into Mirkwood. So Steve should be worried. It's got to be right by his house.
Absolutely.
His parents are in danger.
This scene really made me like Steve a lot more. I mean, I already love Steve. But, I mean, the fact that Steve has a nail bat in his trunk at all times and he's blasting some Queen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite band of all time. So when he's playing some Queen, I'm like, all right, yeah, Steve. That's why I love you. I knew it. I could sense these things.
Steve loves Steve. I wouldn't say that I loved Steve, but I was always, after, I don't know, the penultimate episode of season 1, maybe, a fan of Steve. But Steve's a badass now. I mean, he was a badass at the finale, but yeah, like just not, it wasn't a one-off. It's just, he's a badass, a very brave man. So I wrote in my notes here, referring to Dart, the Demogorgon, which is weird that it has a name. In Project Mayhem, Demogorgons do have names. Is this the only one? Was the question I had written down. Clearly, no. We find this out later. It is not the only one. And how does it operate? This is a question that I have as far as the mobile Demogorgons, the ones that are smaller and look like dogs. When they go to full size, I suppose they are more upright, right? That's what we saw from the full-grown Demogorgon in season 1. But that Demogorgon resides within the Upside Down, and it attacks by kidnapping them and taking them back to its home dimension, right? I just don't understand how these Demogorgons who know nothing of the Upside Down, do they get the power to go forth from cross dimensions as adults, or you know what I mean? I just don't understand.
It could just be a natural, it's instilled to them instinctually. Like there's animals in the real world that are born in a place, but when they grow up, they know, oh, so we go to this part of the continent to fuck, and then go back and lay our eggs where they were born. They ideally wouldn't, they've never been to that place where they have the mating rituals, but they still go there every year, kind of like sea turtles and penguins and all that.
You heard it here first.
Demogorgons.
Demogorgons are merely sea turtles.
March of the Demogorgons.
I would watch that.
And it's weird that we now know, so the Thessal Hydra is like the boss, and the Demogorgons are mere foot soldiers. I don't know. I like that they're broadening the universe, but it also makes, in retrospect, things a little dicey. We know that there was one Demogorgon who seemed to be autonomous, acting alone, if you will, and now they're just all willy-nilly. Just curious how what the Duffers have in their mind about how this universe works. So we cut to the government guys taking Polaroids of Joyce's house, and then Joyce in Scrubs arguing with Paul Reiser and his little pantheon of nameless doctors.
Yes, men.
What is wrong with my boy? My boy. That little scene.
Welcome to another thing of Joyce things. What's wrong with my boy?
And then we cut straight to Murray partying with J&N, old Jonathan and Nancy, just drinking what I assume is the 5th vodka and tonic. That's just me. I just got that vibe.
At least.
Got that vibe. Or at least Murray's 5th. They're 2nd because they're kind of sipping. Jonathan still thinks he might drive. So I think I love Murray.
Yeah?
I'm a big fan. Very creepy. Very
is?
paranoid. A tad bit alcoholic. He's just giving, liquor to underage people. Just encouraging them to fuck.
Yeah,
and for some reason, hey, don't judge me. I condone all of it. I love this guy. I don't know.
Took a turn since the last episode.
What did you guys think about that? His little, I guess this is later, so we'll just leave that. But no, it's not. I think I love Murray, where he tells the, I could see Andy in the corner of my eye, and I was only guessing that he was not digging Murray's psychoanalysis of his handle on the children. I don't like calling them children with what happens. The people, Nancy and Jonathan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He knew a lot about them. He was able to guess that they're. I love that scene where he's like,
Trust issues.
"What's his name? What's his name? Steve. Steve. Because he knew there was a Steve, right?
Yeah.
And we like Steve."
But we don't love Steve.
He's got it all down to a T.
I wrote that down in my notes every time Steve did anything cool after that moment. We like Steve.
Yeah. But I can picture Andy being like, that's a bunch of horse shit. I like that he's has some acumen with reading people, but that's a little too far. Andy, what did you in fact think of that?
Kind of that. It was a little too on the nose as far as like, I know everything about you. It's such a curse to be able to read people so well. And it's like, I mean, I didn't dislike the scene. I feel like this character was acted and directed far differently than it was intended when it was written. I just, at the end of that scene when he was like, if you need me again, or if you need to find me again, don't, and slams the door on them. I just had this weird feeling like, I wonder if that's really how they thought this character would go. Because he's uncomfortably aware of their, the goings on of the kids, which is, I mean, I dig that, but I don't know how to say this right. He's a little too into like, let's get these crazy kids drunk and go let them share the bed, like. Interestingly, I thought that you would like it less than I did.
Really?
Yeah. Because I thought it was going to be like this, here we go again with the fucking vodka and seltzer metaphors and,
Well, at least he didn't pull the metaphor until the very end. And I actually have a note there for that. And you were right about that. But no, I totally dug Murray in the scene. I liked it. The whole thing I enjoyed very much. And unrealistic, I didn't even enter into my mind how realistic it was or not. I enjoyed it. It was very fun. Steve, what did you think about this whole exchange?
I enjoyed it merely because it's something you don't see. I mean, he 100% is creepy. Mm-hmm. If that guy existed in real life, I would avoid him just because he's creepy. But the way he interacts with Nancy and Jaybird is way different than anyone reacts to kids of that age. Like usually when adults in movies talk to children, Nancy and Jaybird's age group about sex and that, it's not like this. Mm-hmm. It's so up front where it's like, I know you're doing it. We were all kids once. You all are doing it. Just do it. Usually it's handled much differently. Yeah. And even though he's creepy, there's some sort of realness about him. Mm-hmm. In a weird way, even though he's pontificating on like, I know all these, I know who you are. How'd I do? Your stepdad sucks, right? I read it because your face.
It's all over your face. I get the sense that, and I didn't think of any of this at the time. I just had surface level enjoyment of the scene. But thinking about it now, Murray has this life that he spends looking behind the curtain, right? And he talked about last time. And so it's trivial things like familial squabbles and taboo sex and what's appropriate for minors and drinking age are beneath him. Mm-hmm. And whatever that means to you morally is really irrelevant because he's got a bigger concerns. Like, and they really are all stupid, and not to sound like a creep myself, but once you look at the broad picture that we're all just tiny specks of dust hurtling through space and then so vast that we couldn't even comprehend, and our life is but a mere blink and in the essence of eternity. And so like a seatbelt law or, paying a fine or your career it's not fathomable how little that matters. And I think that's the scale on which Murray is operating. And I like that because that is sort of my philosophy. I try to keep myself very small in my own mind so that life is, easier to take and handle. I'm not that important. And I don't know. So maybe I'm looking into Murray too much, but I just feel like he's like, drink the fucking liquor. If you like each other, you should probably just bone because you're going to die like super soon. And life's mostly miserable and I'm going to bed. I'm going to jerk off.
You said a joke when he was going upstairs. You said something like blows on the table.
Blows in the kitchen. Yeah. If you want to really party.
What'd you think about his end game though? Like, after all of this months of research, Barb's family fucking like went bankrupt trying to fund this thing. And at the very end, it's like, all right, so let's make a copy of the tape that this girl brought me. We'll write a 1-paragraph letter, stick it in the envelope, and mail it to the Times. Mm-hmm. And that was it.
They mailed it to multiple different newspaper sources. Yeah.
I don't know what I expected, but I thought it would be more than that. I mean,
that's all the power that he has. He'll still get credit for blowing a story. He'll get a relaunched career, some notoriety, maybe write a book about it later. You know what I mean? This is just the first step for Murray in this.
He's not even really in it so much, I don't think, for notoriety. He's more into it to stick it to the man. Like, he seems more that kind of guy.
Yeah.
Who kind of bucks authority.
Bucks the system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think? This scene is, I'm a little sad in a way because this scene and, many others in this season so far, it's kind of, I don't feel like Charlie Heaton's been bringing his best this season.
I agree. I was thinking the same thing last episode.
And because
I kind
last
of doubted
episode,
myself about whether or not, I was like, I talked a lot of shit about how awesome Charlie Heaton is. And I don't feel that way at all this season. He's just mediocre at best.
Well, I feel like this
Could
season
be the
they've.
cocaine.
That's what I was going to say.
Could be the cocaine.
As we now know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this season, Charlie Heaton, Jonathan, and even what's his name, Finn Wolfhard. Their roles are significantly scaled back.
Oh my
this
God,
season.
Mike is going to waste this season.
I forget Mike's in scene sometimes because you got
That he's just
Hopper
peeking
and
down there in
Joyce
the
and Sean
sleeping
Astin
blanket,
talking,
yeah.
and then he's like, "Oh, I'm here too."
Wolfing hard down here.
And last season, Jonathan had this incredible arc of like he's dealing with this insane mom and he doesn't know where his brother is, and they focus a lot more on that relationship of him and his mom, and that was a very interesting story to tell, and he did great. This season, his story is like, well, where's Nancy going? I guess I'll drive her.
Sure. And I think
chauffeur.
I think that's to good effect, though. At the same time, we've got other characters to explore. This is Stranger Things 2. And rather than go deep into the rabbit hole of baby Holly and Mike and his family, we've gotten to see Lucas's family. We get to obviously expound upon 11, about which we knew almost nothing.
I
See
think
her
this is
grow
the first episode she's not in it at all.
ever. You know what you mean?
I don't think there's been an
right.
episode of the show yet where she wasn't in it.
Oh, yeah,
And
she
this was
wasn't
one.
at all.
No.
Chapter 6, Season 2, the first 11-less episode.
Sad.
You heard it here first. No. So then, Murray goes upstairs. They do not choose to look in the kitchen for the blow. And Andy pointed out they got pajamas out of nowhere.
Yeah, because they were like, should we stay? Do you want to stay the night?
Well, they
I
were
guess
in-
maybe they had packed clothes in the event. Oh, they had
They stayed in the hotel, yeah.
Okay.
Because Nancy was wearing the same
They had
PJs,
some
but we just didn't
Jamies.
see Jaybirds because he was under
Yeah.
covers. But his PJs were pretty
I love
baller.
that they pack pajamas to infiltrate secret government agencies.
It gets cold at night.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, did you bring the tape recorder? Yeah. Did you get your jammies? Of course. Who did you think
Jaybird-
I'm a savage?
He looked like those could have been Batman pajama pants. They weren't, but they could have been.
They should have been for sure. He's not a boxers guy. That's so sweet. So then, I think it was an Easter eggo, the scene of them kind of missing one another in the hallway.
Yes.
Maybe perhaps it is.
Yes.
Okay, because it's been done a bunch. I believe the Wedding Crashers did a spoof-ish thing of it where she creeps down the hall and then Owen Wilson peeks his head out and misses her with Rachel McAdams. So, okay, Steve's got his handle on that. Cool. So then they do meet outside Nancy's makeshift bedroom. And we get a bittersweet kiss because it's wonderful that Jonathan and Nancy have pushed their relationship forward, or at least I think, even though she's got some demons and stuff. I get it. Mm-hmm. But it's also
But we like
sad because we
Steve.
like Steve. Poor Steve's getting the shaft.
Yeah.
Or rather, no longer giving it to Nancy.
Which is weird because last season Jonathan was in that position. They've completely swapped places, and Murray brought up that good point of like they've been through the real shit together.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's definitely an interesting play of how this time last season we were the complete opposite way, where it's like, oh, she's with Steve, but we love Jonathan.
Mm-hmm. What did you think, Andy?
They really pulled the rug out from under us on it. I'm sitting there like, oh, don't do it. Oh.
You didn't want him to do it?
No, I didn't want them to do it. I like Steve.
Steve.
He's got the hair.
This is
He
where
does have that hair.
polyamory would spare feelings. You know, we have a nice, real love triangle. Come on, Steve. Come on in here. Bring that bat. We're going to get weird.
Get the one with the nails.
Carol, Tommy H., let's do this thing.
I got some Stolies and seltzer. Let's party.
You know what? Hop Joyce, get in here.
Whoa. Well, that's his mom, bro.
Let him let the boy watch.
Love knows no bounds.
Steve
bro.
made it weird. That's a change. Okay, moving on. Lucas returns the phone call from Dustin. We get a hilarious little exchange with his sister having He-Man make out with one of her Barbies.
Those sound effects she was making, on point.
Yeah, she did very well, I felt like. And He-Man was really feeling that in that scene. He's the
That was-
MVP of this episode.
Another awesome cut where like
Yeah, great smash cut.
Yeah, where they go from the Jonathan and Nancy kissing, slamming the door, to the He-Man and Barbie close up. Oh, I love you, He-Man.
And the sound design started a half a second before.
Yeah.
So it sounded like they were just making ridiculous makeout noises in the room for a second. It was awesome. Very well done. And then we cut back to Hawkins' laboratory where Hop's still vomiting, but apparently he's been given the green light that he's not dying.
That face he makes is so good.
That smile from Hop is my note. I want to.
Hop?
That is something I demand we gif. That is the best thing in the world. Anytime someone says something creepy or there's any sexual innuendo, I want to be able to pop that into the comment thread.
Never better.
And then they invite Hop to go down into the elevator to see the labyrinthine tunnels that the Thessal Hydra has dug underneath Hawkins' laboratory. And I was a huge fan of that elevator shot.
How deep the rabbit hole really goes.
I think that was also an Easter egg, but I didn't catch it myself.
Mm-hmm.
You caught that one as well?
I feel like
Yours
it
had
is,
the
but
same sense.
I don't know what it is, but yeah.
So just the elevator descends, and I thought some wonderful green screen shots there.
It's kind of cool. It's funny that the government has this room where they've sealed off a corner of it so they can burn the portal door every so often, but it never occurred to them, like, what if this thing's going down?
Yeah.
Should we dig a little?
They bust out the jackhammer like, oh shit.
Oh man, that goes down a while. Shit. Fuck, what have we been doing this past year?
Quickly built an elevator shaft, though. And they went deep, though, in their defense. I mean, it's in the second layer of the crust.
I feel like with all that ground dirt missing from beneath Hawkins, it kind of probably would have crumbled into hell. Like, I don't understand how the building is still standing.
I don't think we're qualified geologists enough to dispute the Duffers' structural integrity guesses, but I see what you're getting at.
Like, guys, when was the last time we had the foundation checked out?
Well, I mean,
on
like
this?
New York subways and stuff. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, here's your problem right here, guys. You got a big hole under your foundation. I'm going to have to bill you for that.
There's some floaty stuff.
This
so
is
I don't know
not to
what that is.
code.
And
You
then we-
can't put a portal to another dimension and use it as a pillar. It doesn't work that way, bro.
That'll be fine.
You got to have a permit for that.
Where's Walter Peck when you need him?
And we cut back to Joyce catching Bob up. Did we get another scene of somebody explaining the entirety of season 1 to another character and miss it again? Is that the sense you got with Joyce and Bob there?
Yep,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, to a lesser extent. She was more telling him about the paperwork side
Cliff's
of
notes.
things.
But still, I mean,
But he
for
says,
that
like,
to make
and
sense.
Will went missing.
Yeah, for that to make sense, he would have to have known the truth.
Yeah, but it wasn't as overt as the past
Sure.
things.
And then I wrote down, where do Mike's parents think the kids are? But I think that was solved a little bit later on.
They just don't give a shit.
Just thinking, I know Ted doesn't give a fuck, but I bet Karen does. Like, so Mike's at the hospital and has no access to any phones that I know of. Nancy didn't call from Murray's that we saw. and they're both minors, or at least Nancy might be 18. But
Nancy called from Murray. She said that she was at Allie's having a girls' night.
The next morning, didn't she?
yeah,
Yeah, but I think she had already known that she was at Allie's beforehand because she there was a shot I think last episode of her doing the same thing.
and we cut back to Will, who seems to have some sort of increasing amnesia. He doesn't recognize Bob. And then back to Murray's, Breakfast at Murray's, which I think is a breakfast shop we should open, a Stranger Things themed restaurant that would just kill it. Just serve nothing but vodka, seltzer, and eggs and hash browns.
And the truth.
And condoms. And the truth. Yes. Leave door closed, spray painted on the front. It'd be awesome. Every time a customer comes up, look up and to the right.
Do you have a reservation?
So then we get a sex joke, I think. How was the pullout?
Oh, God, yeah.
Jonathan chokes on his juice, and Nancy just kind of looks away. I loved it. I did not expect that. Did anyone else get imagery?
Oh, yeah. It was... that was such an on-the-point sex joke. I was like, whoa, Stranger Things. I was not expecting that.
Especially, again, we were talking about this is kind of a maybe uncomfortable topic that they're minors, or at least 18, very young, and then pull out is such an explicit
sort of
joke.
I mean, it's so innocuous, but we all know immediately in most people's heads you get Jonathan coming on Nancy's belly. I mean, I'm going to say it.
Or the sheets.
Or the sheets. Amateur. Never go for the sheets.
That's how Murray knew.
He went to clean up in the room. Oh, that's kind of backfired on me.
God damn it. God damn it.
That's why he slammed the door on their face. Like, never come back. Coming on my sheets.
Never come here again. That's what he meant.
Yeah.
And then, yes, as he's slamming the door on, what Andy alluded to earlier, I thought those insert shots were completely lame and useless. Hammer down on something that was already lame and useless, the seltzer and vodka.
Yeah.
They threw in some insert shots of bottle of vodka and bottle of seltzer. Like, they had to take the extra time to put the camera off to the side and film his hand reaching out with the bottle and
light it.
Seriously? Everyone on set thought that was a great idea, and then in the editing room, like, yep, put them in. Seriously?
Well, they really want to hammer that water it down metaphor.
Yeah, they must be smitten with that.
Remember what we did, guys? Water it down, vodka.
Remember last episode where we did the thing with the thing?
Am I right?
Yeah.
Cut to... I don't feel like, before we cut to, Nancy isn't scared enough, I feel like, with this whole plan. Like, they do realize they will be assassinated by the government, right? Am I wrong?
Well, I think her thought process is if it comes out and becomes public...
She'll be safer?
Yeah.
And they can't do anything to her?
Yeah, because it would look suspicious if suddenly all these characters of interest in this story just suddenly go missing or die.
So they're actually through the dangerous part now, sort of.
In a way.
Yeah.
At least that's what her thought process is.
I mean,
True. That's true.
Unless it gets intercepted, which is probably what will happen, Like,
No, I imagine somewhere after the dust settles, after the finale, once everybody's friendly and the Demogorgons have been killed again, that's when the newspapers are going to drop, and that'll be season 3.
Yeah.
Is Hawkins Lab versus Nancy. Justice for Nancy. And we cut to Billy smoking a cigarette, curling some iron.
Who has abs that good who just drinks beer and smokes constantly?
At like 2:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Hey, man, at that age, you can get away with that, for sure.
Okay.
I knew guys that lived
that's an
like that.
attractive man.
Thank you. I feel akin to him for some reason. I don't know why I said thank you. I tried to cover it up.
I mean, you're an attractive guy too, Chris. I mean, if you're fishing there.
So Lucas shows up to get Maxine. It's like, you want proof? And I wrote down here that he is smitten dumb with a hyphen, because I know grammar, because I created a new word, and that's what you do.
Thank you.
I just think him letting her in to the party to this degree is irresponsible without a party vote. And I know it's hard to reach people right now. And also not fair to Max. As we see later, it's definitely true that he endangers her, to a very high degree. And I don't know. I just think it's just highly irresponsible of Lucas, but not inaccurate for his age or what any guy really does when they first start to fall for a girl, I suppose.
Yeah, he says, "I've got proof," and she's like, cut to half hour later, she's being eaten alive. Like, okay, I believe you.
Right.
Like, fuck.
But
You could have.
I
Should have
probably would
believed
do
me,
that.
girl.
This is what happens. And now, in retrospect, we got to talk about this now because this is huge. None of us were fans of the Dustin and Dart plot thread, right, where he hides that from the rest of the party. There zero of us at Streaming Things were fans of that. It looks like the writers are, in retrospect, coloring that as Dustin's folly of loving Max. That he was keeping the interdimensional being as something to impress Max, which is not a vibe I got at all early on. In fact, my biggest bone to pick was that there was no reason or character motivation for him to hide that from his friends.
Yeah.
Which does help it a bit. They didn't do a great job of letting that out earlier at all.
Didn't set it up.
I could see that he caught Dart and was like, oh man, I'm gonna show all my friends and the new girl and she's gonna think I'm cool. But then he shows them and immediately, Mike freaks out and then it breaks out and then they're trying to find it. And then he hides Dart again, but not because he wants to impress Max, but because at that point he's got a new pet. He wants to protect it. But
Right.
in no way did I figure out that he kept Dart a secret the latter half of that thread because of Max. It was just he already formed a relationship with Dart.
And that would have helped that action become more believable. They just did a poor job of setting that up for sure. And then, so Max hops on Lucas's bike. She successfully hides him from her stepbrother. We'll talk about that later. And she gets on the bike, much like Eleven did on Mike's bike frequently in season 1. Nice little girl on bike throwback there. And then Will's amnesia is growing, and his connection to the Thessal Hydra is growing stronger. And by the way, for new listeners, the reason we call it the Thessal Hydra is because that was the pretend Dungeons and Dragons enemy at the end of season 1, and we were really hoping they were calling this monster the Thessal Hydra in this season. And
I've lost hope. It is not going to happen.
I think they still might.
No?
Dustin still doesn't know about it. Again, that's what my last hope is.
Yeah.
Dustin's always the one that does that.
Yeah.
Maybe Max will be the one that gives it the new name.
She wouldn't know the Thessal Hydra.
She's like thumbing through a D&D manual guide and like, hey, what about Thessal Hydra? That sounds cool.
It's just a Dig Dug.
She's trying to fit in.
Let's call it Dig Dug. You're out of the party.
What we call it, Road Warrior.
Dig Dug's fighting Will again. Stop it. That's not what it's called. It's a dumb name.
In Stranger Things 3, The Thunderdome. We cut to Paul Reiser exposition, which I found extremely unnecessary, with some unnecessary editing about explaining what was going on with Will. And I thought they did a great job of organically showing us that Will was like psychosomatically connected to the shadow monster. And that he was having, all these things were going on. And then Paul Reiser has to explain it point blank to Joyce. And we get these cuts of past things that had happened to Will just to like make sure the audience is caught up on what's going on. I found it completely unnecessary and distracting. What did you guys?
It reminded me of the episode last season when, was it Becky that was talking to Hopper and it kept flashing back to 11, like, this is 11, get it?
She's psychic?
Yeah.
What?
But in this case, it was like, he's connected to the Thessal Hydra, get it?
Right. Very much so. Thought that too. The only good part about that was Joyce's reaction. Like, so what are we going to do about it?
Right.
Getting really upset. So yeah, Will is deteriorating quickly, and we get some shots of his brain later. I'll just skip over that and talk about that now. So his hippocampus was attacked first, which controls memory, because I took some brain courses in college.
Whoa.
And then his limbic system, which his pancreas and all the hormones that it secretes, which basically makes your mood what it is. So now the monster's controlling his dopamine and stuff. And then the third slide was just like most of his brain.
Yeah.
So, then we get the note that I took. Dustin kept the dart for Max, but Dustin does get girl advice from Steve, which is fair. Most of the time, I'm like, what the fuck do you know about women? Women are all different. This is 2017 feminism. Everybody treat each person like an individual human being. But I feel like Steve does have some solid advice for Dustin. Not what he actually says, but just the fact that he is Steve. I feel like he does know a thing or two about high school chicks and Hawkins.
Sure.
So I really love that exchange.
I felt like this was kind of a doomed, tragic conversation. Not
for sure.
doomed,
She's
but
way more into Lucas.
well, yeah, she's 100% way more into Lucas. But even Steve giving him that advice of like, oh, just act like you don't care.
That's true, and Nancy's off getting railed.
Yeah,
at that very moment.
Like literally, Dustin, whose odds aren't in his favor with Max, is getting advice from Steve, who's not succeeding on his own love
It made
front.
it so sad too, but Nancy's different. She's a special girl.
And even himself, even in his advice that he was giving to Dustin, he made it obvious that he doesn't know what he's talking about because he's just like, you got to ignore him. And Dustin's like, oh, what kind of girl is Nancy? Oh, she's different. She's not like most girls.
I'm just telling you how to get sluts.
Farrah Fawcett hair.
Right. And so, yeah, he gives him his Fabergé, his shampoo
Fabergé.
line, and then the Farrah Fawcett spray, which is apparently something that he's ashamed of. You fucking tell anybody that and you're dead.
You do the shampoo and the conditioner when it's moist, not when it's wet.
It's very serious. You know,
4 sprays of Farrah Fawcett.
which I thought also was some fan service because there's been a lot of comments about Steve's hair.
Yeah.
But it was fan service that was subtle and I enjoyed. And the best fan service is what also characterizes. And I thought it was great because he's sharing things with Dustin, whom he barely knows but has a fondness for because of their shared troubles.
The real shit.
The real shit, as Murray calls it. And so it's something very sensitive to him that could potentially damage his reputation or his ego quite a bit. And he's offering that to help someone. So it shows us the kindness that is in Steve's heart. And, you know, I just really enjoyed the scene for that reason. I'll just go out and say it. So, and they're dropping some, we should say plot wise, that they're dropping raw meat on the train tracks to lead what they think is one Demogorgon to the junkyard. And I thought that ominous shot of the yellow flag by the dead tree was pretty nice there at the end of that sequence.
Was it, Andy, you were mentioning earlier in an earlier episode about what purpose the yellow flags would serve. Was this the payoff for that?
I suppose. I mean, they still haven't served any practical purpose as far as like narrative.
it was cool.
Like there was no reason yet to, but yeah, I mean, it's like, oh shit, there's dead trees around, guys. That means something.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure what something that
Things
is.
are starting to look spoopy. Looking pretty spoopy.
Spoopy?
Never heard spoopy?
No.
I've never heard spoopy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hang out with young people too much.
Hey, man. He's like old Murray. Streaming things, old Murray Bauman over here.
Yeah.
And then we cut to Hop on the CB radio, who thinks he's talking to Eleven, and it is heartbreaking. He makes a wonderful apology, the apology that I was waiting for. He did it much better than I did in the last episode of Streaming Things, and yet no one was listening, and it is tragic, which makes her absence from the episode itself all the more glaring, I think, because that's all we get is the empty room where Eleven should be. And then we cut back to another board meeting of nameless doctors and Dr. Sam Owens, played by Paul Reiser, and I keep referring to his character as Paul Reiser, and I normally don't do that, and I love it because that's Paul Reiser. Who are we all kidding? That's who that is. And we got this moment that I did not expect, where I think we're supposed to get the vibe that Sam Owens cares. That he's trying to protect Will, and he has some sort of sentimentality and human qualities that I felt like they were setting him up to be pretty sinister up to this point.
Yeah, it was super unexpected.
I
What
really
if the
enjoyed it.
kid dies? Then the kid dies, Sam. And he's like, say that to me again. It's fucking insane. That was so unexpected.
Oh, I totally agree about Dr. Owens. I think in this moment, if this is indeed where they're going, where he actually is a good character that has the town's best interest at heart, or at least Will and family and friends' best interest at heart, I think it just proves just how brilliant of casting Paul Reiser in that role was, because we've been talking this whole time like, it's Paul Reiser, he's going to be like that guy in Aliens. Right. It's Paul Reiser going to turn on him, but nope.
And I think it's brilliant writing, too, because in an earlier episode, when he was confronting and very threatening to Jonathan and Nancy, I kind of identified with Dr. Owens in that moment. Like, this is something beyond your scope, and as unfortunate as it is for Barb's parents, I hate to be a Hillary Clinton here, but I mean, there is a bigger picture. And even though we know now that the Russians is not what to be worried about, well, okay. Unfortunately, they're back again.
Wow,
but,
there's a lot of parallels between this story and our world.
Wow. Never mind on that one. But you saw where I was going there. I just had this sense, like, damn, I kind of feel guilty that I don't fucking hate Dr. Owens right now. And hey, Turns out I wasn't supposed to. Hell yeah.
Maybe they're gonna like do a double turn on us and like make us feel like that we should start to be like, oh wait, no, we should actually kind of like this guy, huh? And then he's gonna have like this conflicted moment where he's gonna be like, okay, fine, sacrifice the boy, and then it doesn't work, and then everybody blames him because whatever he did didn't work, and it made everything worse.
Or it's like a Shakespearean tragedy where he gets arrested or something because of what Nancy has done after we do really super like him.
Oh no.
I don't know. Or
Bullshit.
that's the title of the article in the New York Times. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. In Indiana. And then cut to Will has a plan. And I wrote in the little notes here, unreliable, question mark. And turns out very unreliable.
Yeah.
The promise that Mike made, we will not let him spy back on the spyers, he was wrong.
Well,
That's
yeah,
totally what happened.
He couldn't keep that promise even if he wanted to.
Nope.
I do have to say that reveal of what happened,
Epic.
I surprisingly didn't see it coming despite the episode being called The Spy.
Yeah, for
I don't
sure.
know how that one like flew over my head. I'm like, oh no.
They distract you. They're like, oh, look over here. You remember this nail bat?
Look
You
at
love
Steve and
this?
Dustin. It's great.
Oh, this is how Steve does his hair.
Pull out joke.
Nancy's fucking. Boom. Not the boom in the bedroom. This boom was over here, but you couldn't see it on the audio.
Get it, Jay Bird.
We cut back to the junkyard. We all got a lot of good memories of the junkyard and the bus. Why did I write Dis Steve? Oh, I thought it was, I took it like Ebonics, like Dis Steve. But I meant like Dis. I should have spelled it with 2 S's. Yeah, Lucas knocks Steve. It's Lucas, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, why are you with Steve Harrington of all people?
Yeah.
Because I
Oh
can't
no,
get a
it's
hold of him.
Dustin. He said, Dustin
I
says,
can't get
what,
a
you
hold of
can't get a hold
anybody
of anybody? He's like,
Yeah.
why else do you think I'm with Steve
Yeah,
Harrington?
That's what it was. And I was kind of like, hey,
Steve's
you like
cool.
Steve.
He just told you how to do his hair.
Yeah,
I mean, come
dude.
on.
He's got a nail bat, brah.
He could have easily not helped you with any of this and not worried about it. So yeah, don't fuck with Steve.
Why are you with Maxine, Lucas?
And then he interrupts their little handshake moment, which was an allusion to season 1, to be like, hey, guys, we got 40 minutes of daylight. The only one helping me is this random girl, which was pretty funny. I actually saw a meme on the internet about how that's not how random was used in the 80s. And they were being tongue-in-cheek, like, leave Stranger Things alone and stop finding the petty anachronism the show's genius. So it was a very layered meme that I very much enjoyed. It
How was random used in the 80s?
Well, random actually means, fuck, I sound like an idiot now. It doesn't mean like unexpected. Random means like everything has an equal opportunity
Equal
of being chosen.
probability, yeah.
So random girl is inappropriate because that would actually mean this girl every girl in the world has an equal opportunity of being here, as much chance as any other. When it really means like,
So if you say like you have a random chance at winning, that makes more sense?
yes, like I'm going to randomly select a winner that screenshots and rates their ratings and review of us and sends it to streamingthingspod@gmail.com. That will be random. But I can't just say next time I see a person like, oh, there's a random winner. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
that
way
makes
we
sense.
use it, we started
Yeah.
using it as children in the like late 90s, early aughts.
You ran
Okay.
into someone you haven't seen in a couple years. Oh my God, that was so random. You don't use it that way.
Like we went bowling last night. We were just going to sit home and we just went bowling. It was so fucking random. Just random bowling. It's like, no. You know what I mean? Like we started using the word in a way that it doesn't mean
Okay.
like 20 years ago.
I learned something today.
Oh, there you go. Anyway, I digress. Do you know what digress means? It's weird.
Well, tell me.
It's so random. What it means. Cut to Hopper in the boardroom with a wonderful moment where he's just kind of one of the asshole doctors that wants to kill Will, which is a Tarantino movie I love. Hopper's like, "Shut up, jackass."
Yeah, I love
and
that
he's
moment.
scary no matter where. That's what I mean. Like he's just looms.
I love the way he says it too, because he's like, "Oh, hey, jackass, why don't you shut up for us, please? Thanks."
Yeah, and there's the implicit like, "I will shut your whore mouth for you," and the doctor knows it, and he shuts up. The Hopper just has that way, and I love it.
That's a shitty little doctor too.
He reminds me. I think this is why I love Hopper so much. I know I psychoanalyze myself a lot on the show, and that's what you get here at Streaming Things. We offer ourselves to you. Literally, email streamingthingspod@gmail.com.
Take us.
I think Hopper reminds me of my daddy. Because my
Really?
daddy was like that. He was very silly, had a lot of demons, and was a scary man at times. And yeah, Hopper, David Harbour, You're my dad.
Papa.
Papa. Just tweet that at David Harbour constantly now.
I'm going to.
Papa.
I'm going to. That's awesome. And then we journey toward Crayon Quadrant 4, which is what I wrote down. Because I love how Will just runs over, and we now know that he was possessed by the shadow monster, points at one of his shitty-ass drawings of like 3 colors mixed together. Here, this is important, but I don't know why. And everyone's like, okay.
Oh, fuck.
Instead of being like,
Check it out.
where the fuck is that? I thought we were going to get a scene where Bob Newby was like, that's 3 miles east of Lover's Lake.
I thought we were going to get a scene where Bob Newby or Joyce go, that's where Hopper was. You saw that.
Right. So you recognized the little crayon drawing that before they went to the graveyard there?
Not beforehand, but like towards the end when they are gearing up to go.
Yeah.
When they get to the actual space where Will has sent them to, Hopper makes a comment like, "Oh, that's the bone. That's where I was."
And then you were thinking in retrospect they should have known that that was that piece of paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And so they suit up and journey toward what they think is the solution to the shadow monster problem. And then we cut back to the boys at the bus and with Max, and they are setting up traps, much like Jonathan and Nancy in the Byers household. I thought that was a throwback to that. Only this time it doesn't end as well.
No bear traps.
And this is all intercut, so just stay with me. So it's the Hawkins laboratory suiting up mixed with setting up the traps and that whole scene there.
It's a cool little montage.
And Jonathan and Nancy seeing the drawings.
Right. Cut back to the David Nedry character.
That's what they all
That's
say.
his name, right? The guy from Jurassic Park.
Dennis.
Dennis? Is it fucking Dennis?
Dennis Nedry.
Damn it. Now I sound like a douche.
Nah.
Edit point. No.
That's okay. I called Adam Sorkin. Aaron Sorkin, I called Adam Sorkin.
That's his
last
brother. You
episode.
were just talking about. You're actually
Yeah, you
hipper.
know, totes.
So the Dennis Nedry guy is still employed at Hawkins. I guess they have to kill him if they let him go. And there was like a little wizard reference, like either this boy's a schizo or a wizard, which kind of was like a Will the Wise throwback, I felt like.
Oh, yeah. I didn't catch that.
And then it turns out he's not either of those things.
He's the spy.
Back to the bus. We find the gang all trapped in there. So Steve goes outside and everything's going well. We get some incredible bravery on behalf of Steve because they spot the Demogorgon. I don't want to skip past that scene with Lucas and Max, though.
Yeah,
right?
I was going to say you're skipping that.
That's the kind of scene that Steve loves. How'd you feel about that random over sentimentality?
I liked it just because, you know, we finally get to see the mystery of Max and Billy's relationship. It's kind of anticlimactic.
Super underwhelming.
I wrote underwhelming. Max is so ... underwhelming.
She's not my sister.
Brother.
Yeah, like, oh, come on. Like,
But the explanation, I've been thinking about it since it played out, and it even though it's underwhelming, I like it a little bit better that it's just they moved away.
I think they played Billy's angst too hard.
yes.
I don't know. He's still crazy. She said that he was a dick beforehand, but now I understand why he blames her for their having to leave, and he can't take his frustration out on the mom, so he takes it out on her. And if you're a psychopath who's like super angry already, and you have a little sister, yeah, he's gonna act crazy like that.
Wait, why does he blame her, though? Did we ever
Because it's her dad that is the reason why they moved.
Oh.
Yeah, she was saying how her dad still lives in California, and her mom and her stepdad, Billy's father, apparently wanted to leave California altogether to get away from Max's dad for a fresh start. And Maxine said something along the lines of like, he's not the problem, though.
Mm-hmm.
They're just, fooling themselves to think that leaving him is going to solve their problems, whatever their problems are.
But isn't it kind of her dad's fault, not hers? You know, I don't know.
We don't know. We don't know about
like
the dad, but it makes me sympathize with Billy a little bit because if you're living in California and you love where you are, your friends are there, you're young, and that's all you know, and then you're forced to leave and go to Podunk, Hawkins, Indiana, because this woman that you is not your mother, that you probably have some angst towards, and her stupid little sister. And from his perspective, makes you move. You're going to be like super angry about it. Maybe not to the extent of where he's trying to hit 3 kids on bicycles in his car.
No, for sure. I
don't
think it's a problem that the Duffers. I think Andy seems to think it was lame writing, but I just more feel like an idiot that I read into this. Like, oh, she's got to be superhero number 9, and he's probably like this robot agent from the planet Delor, and like that's my guess.
That's a season 3 reveal.
No, they're just step siblings. Turns out.
I like you said before, I feel like they played up the conflict between them a little too much for it to just have been stepbrother, stepsister. There's no reason to withhold that information from us until episode fucking 6.
But in a way,
That's
like
true.
it is underwhelming, but the fact that they like held it that far, and then she gives us just enough nuggets to think, oh, well, that's underwhelming, but then they don't tell you any more about her dad's relationship with her stepfather and mother, like why that went awry.
And they're poor.
And so in a way, because they've built this frame of context around the relationship that's still kind of vague, I'm a little bit more interested, like, well, now I'm interested in the whole family. Like, what is this dynamic? And I look forward to the scenes. Maybe they're going to humanize Billy a little bit more.
We're going to have more new characters come in that we have to skip more scenes where they explain everything that happened in season 1. God damn it.
And I think Billy, probably will come into the fold a bit more. But what it served to do, because they waited so long, was it made a semi-powerful moment where she allowed Lucas into her life after she found out that he had, in truth, let her into his. Because this is the first time that it was verified. You know, they spotted this monster now and all this shit's going on. It's like, okay, he didn't lie to me. He actually let me in. So I'm going to let him into mine a little bit, not into me. But yeah, like Andy, I was not sold on the moment. That performance was lost on me, and I think it was probably good. I was just kind of annoyed. But yeah, so Lucas and Max have a moment. Poor Dustin's down in the bus with Steve. None the wiser. And which, by the way, wasn't that realistic. I felt like if I was the kid their age, I would have been Dustin, like peeking up, like super jealous, like, spot anything? Like every 2 seconds.
Handshake.
What are you guys doing? You want me to take the binoculars for a while? Take the binoculars for a while?
But Dustin doesn't care.
That'd have been me. Right, he was playing the doesn't care card with that little wink from Steve.
Yeah.
Nice job. What? Acting like you don't care. I don't care. Okay.
Why are you winking, Steve?
Pick it up when you're throwing down.
So, yeah, it was not a bear. It is a Demogorgon. I left it. She's like, you sure it wasn't a bear? So then they spot the Demogorgon, back to real life. And it's not being lured by the meat because Steve doused it in gasoline. Was that the only one that's how animals smell things, is how they know where food is. But anywhoozle, he goes out there to lure it because it's tired of eating cow and wants some fucking Steve meat. And I got some Steve meat for it.
We like Steve.
Big swinging. I thought you were going to say we like Steve meat.
We like that. We love Steve meat.
Do you feel like it was kind of a rush to get out there? You know what I mean? It's like the Demogorgon showed up and he's like, check his watch. All right, 1, 2. Okay, it's not taking the bait. I gotta be the hero, guys. Let's do this thing. Does my hair look good?
They've been waiting there for hours. I get it. He wants to go home.
Dude, he's gonna miss the game.
Nobody was bleeding, and therefore and the Demogorgons could sense them. So they can see, they can hear, they can. What's going on? It's not just smelling.
That's right. There was no blood there, but the meat was bloody. So that made sense. But yeah, it didn't come until Steve.
They're chasing him, and he's rolling over cars like an 80s action hero, Easter eggo, and then runs and hides in the bus. And they're like, oh, we're going to get you.
That's true. A little bit of a flaw there. I'm not sure how the baby Demogorgons operate, though. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it smelled the Farrah Fawcett hairspray. So, yeah.
Oh, my God, I love her.
Oh, that could have been the... He's like, is that Fabergé?
Fabergé.
We find out that there are many, many baby Demogorgons.
That's a good point, though, Andy. I didn't think of that.
The tension was high during that scene. It had my blood a-pumping. I knew nothing was going to happen to Steve, or at least I had the strong sense there was not, except for there was a moment where I was like, oh, fuck. Killing Steve? But yeah, so Lucas is like... I felt inappropriate about his clue. 3 o'clock. I'm like, dude, just say there's a bunch of them.
Right.
Like, well, bro, not helping a whole lot.
First thing he says is, Steve, look out.
Right.
No shit, dude. I see it. It's in front of me.
Like anybody would have done that. I got it. I'm on it. I'm ready. I don't know much about baseball, but Andy loves the sport. Did you notice where he was digging his left foot into the dirt there? Kind of swiveling his ankle.
Oh, yeah, he was. Yeah,
that's what you do, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought there was a sweet little baseball moment there. Even I know that this foot diggy thing's something you do.
Steve Balls, I dig it.
For sure.
Swing away, Merrill.
Steve Balls, I dig it. After we love Steve meat guy. Wow. Steve things.
Didn't we say we love Steve?
Yeah, so Steve does some 80s action Harry.
Action Harry.
Well, he does have that hair.
Action Harry. So Steve
I
does.
believe that is exactly what he does.
So Steve does some 80s action hero badassery. Dives. I thought he would, I don't know how he would get out of this. There's like, 8 of them? They're all very feline and very quick. And he dives over a car hood, smacks one of them, and then runs into the bus to endanger the children like a man should. And Steve is a man, hairspray or no.
Well, they have fortified the bus.
A wee bit. They didn't block the hole
Yeah, that's the one
on the
flaw.
top of the 7-foot bus.
I didn't understand why they needed to have a sniper nest on top of the the bus. Period.
He didn't even have his fucking slingshot out. Just useless up there trying to bang Max. But so there's a bunch of Demogorgons. I don't know why they left. None of us know why they were called back. Oh, we do know. They were called back to kill the soldiers by the Shadow Monster. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that saved Steve and them's life. Silly move of vengeance, Thesso Hydra, because that gang that you left alive is going to be the ones that does you in. Right? Are we right?
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
Just to kill the soldiers who are never going to do shit.
Those guys
in this
had
show.
like what 1 to 3 speaking lines collectively.
They were named Doctor and Soldier.
There was literally a guy named Doctor 2 on this episode.
But
Nice.
back to Max's moment, I did like something about it, even though it was kind of corny and random, as you say in the aughts. I did think it was this cool little speech about how we turn into our oppressors. And she was saying she didn't want to be her brother, she didn't want to be to Lucas how her brother is to her. And I think that so often happens in real life that it was a good little moment to touch on. I know that children watch this show, and I just think it was, maybe I made it more than they meant it, but I thought it was a wonderful moment about how to not turn into bullies, even though you are bullied. Because that's so common in real life where, your dad beats on you or people at school are mean to you. So you're mean to smaller things and the cycle goes on. And Max was like self-aware of that. Like, I know I'm a bitch, but I don't want to be what Billy is to me, to you. And I don't mean to be that way. I'm sorry. Just please be patient with me. And I thought that was cool. I did like that.
Yeah.
So we cut back to the tunnel and the Ridley Scott suits, and they're... Was there like a sound design of sinister laughter that you guys caught as they're entering the graveyard that Hopper calls the graveyard?
I didn't pick up on it if there was.
I swear when they walked in, we had that like 80s synth, and then there was like a...
Did you guys feel like they just like halfway through this season, like at this episode, hired a completely different composer? It was like 9 Inch Nails this episode. It was bizarre.
No, but I loved it.
It like was going from like the drum beat shit from Birdman to fucking 9 Inch Nails when they're like setting up all the traps and stuff in the junkyard, and I was like, fuck yeah. I'm just like,
I really, really loved the soundtrack on this
industrial
episode.
shit.
That Birdman song is actually a song. It's not a original composition.
Right. And that again made sense. They were playing the jazz because Murray listens to jazz as he drinks his vodka, which is why that whole vibe in his house was different than the rest of the show.
But yeah, the techno synthesized song that played during this last part did have a lot more like of a Trent Reznor grunge to it that some of their other original comps haven't had so far.
I didn't notice a difference per se, but I noticed that I especially liked the score in this episode. I will say that. So yeah, as the so it turns out it was a trap for the Ridley Scott soldiers.
They shouldn't have done that.
They shouldn't have done that. It's just a boy. And all the baby Demogorgons have coalesced onto this point on the crayon map, and they kill them all. I fucking loved this scene. Classic horror, show nothing. It's just dense fog, and you can just see flashlights winking out. I thought it was very well done. It was super badass. Would you guys agree?
Why'd those Demogorgons eat all those flashlights, bro?
I don't know.
They couldn't just fall
Now
over.
the guys
and
are going to
pointing
get
at the
lost in
ground.
there.
I know.
Let me winks. Let me winks. I don't know why that came to mind.
Let me wings. Let me wings. Joe King.
Was that a full-grown
Christ.
Demogorgon climbing up the lab at the end there?
Yeah.
It looked like a full-grown Demogorgon
Oh, a
climbing up.
full-grown one? I don't know if it's full-grown, but
He was climbing up the wall towards Hawkins' lab. That was right below Paul Reiser's face, right?
Like teenager Demogorgons.
Yeah, it was like a late teens like a Jonathan Age Demogorgon, we'll say,
it was taking photos right before it
which can do some damage. I think that's all we got for the overall recap, right, boys?
Yeah.
Am I right, boys?
Yeah.
And I want to apologize to our listeners if you heard some coughing that Steve cannot edit out. I have some kind of lung disease that I think is probably common for the season, and it will pass soon.
You were trapped in the upside down tunnels for a while, so you got sprayed a little bit with the upside down dander.
I will pass out soon. I have laid cigarette breadcrumb trails. I said breadcrumb, so that's unfortunate. I just wanted to make a quick apology about the audio quality. Oftentimes, if I'm talking weird, I'm trying very hard not to cough. Andy, quickly moving on, we've got another segment to bring it on home with, right?
Bring it on home. Yeah. We got
Bring it down.
With which to bring it on home.
We got our chocolate pudding, wherein we pick our top 3 favorite scenes, sequences, or moments of the episode. Go round in a circle, talk about what we like best. Chris, what was your number 3?
Oh, shocker. I never start. I didn't even number mine yet. I think my number 3 was Will burning in the cold open. I was absolutely horrified at that little boy experiencing that amount of pain. And I felt that because of Noah Schnapp's performance and the smash cut editing. And it was very effective. And I knew that they put a lot into that little moment there. Something I hadn't thought about before. So I was profoundly affected. And for that reason, I give my number 3 to the cold open, Will burning.
I love the cold open, just black and like screaming noises. It was a little undone by the fact that we were watching it with subtitles. So it was like a black screen with all this crazy sounds. And you see at the bottom in white, Will, or something.
Indistinct chatter.
Let's see. My number 3 would have to be Dart arrives and Steve goes out. As much as I was ripping on him before when he decided to have his Hollywood 80s action hero moment, I was sitting there like, I love Steve so fucking much. Get it, dude. Because I just loved how willing he was to, take on the mantle of the hero, having been there before. Because the fact is that he's the only semi-adult there. He's there with a bunch of kids. Mm-hmm. He's like, okay, if there is someone on whose shoulders this weight needs to rest, it is mine, and here I go.
And he's the only athletic type aside from Hopper. So.
And Max, she skateboards. I mean, that's
now
something.
we have Max, but we didn't. Right?
Yeah,
He doesn't know her that well yet.
True. She
and
is
the
still
Duffers,
random.
I feel like the Duffers made sure we felt a certain way about that scene when Max is like, he's insane, and Dustin's like, he's awesome.
Yeah, he is.
We love Steve.
What about you, Steve?
My number 3 is the scene that you guys apparently hated. The reveal with Max and Lucas. I liked the swerve they kind of did of having a more down to earth reason for what Billy and Max's relationship truly is. But more importantly, I really like that scene because it's the first time we've gotten to see who's the actress that plays Max. We
don't know her name.
Sadie something.
Perhaps.
Hawkins?
Not Sadie Hawkins.
Nice.
Sadie Sachs. It's her
Something
name.
like that,
Her
yeah.
name has like alliteration to it, but it's the first scene we've really gotten where we got to really see her acting chops, other than reacting to other people.
Yeah, she was a very one-note character up to this point, I feel like.
Yeah, and because all the scenes she's had so far, she's reacting to the boys or she's reacting to Billy, and this is the first time where she's kind of in charge of the scene, and I thought she did a really good job. It was subtle but believable, and it's just nice to see Lucas getting some loving. Lucas deserves some.
And then
For
they
sure.
hold hands when they get attacked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did we get to see Dustin? Did he notice that hand holding? I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Poor Dustin. My number 2 is Hop's apology to Eleven, who is not listening. This broke my heart, shattered it into 11 pieces, and will never be whole again. Because this is huge for Hop. He's got a gigantic wall between him and normal emotions because he's been hurt so badly before, and he allowed himself to be vulnerable. And he's in this situation where he is almost died, should have died. He's still physically ill. His world is reeling. He realizes the whole town in danger, and he, as the sheriff, has to care about thousands of people and find a solution to save all of their lives. And all he can think about primarily is that 11 is home in the cabin, he thinks, and doesn't know why he hasn't come home yet, or rather thinks it's because he's so mad at her still. And that breaks his heart, and he wants to let her know. Takes time amidst all of this. That's how much he cares about her. And it's heartbreaking that she's not there to hear it. So
He's wearing a blanket while he's doing
no,
it.
he just looks so weak, I think, for the first time.
It's the most vulnerable we've ever seen him.
Except for asleep and naked, passed out on Xanax. So that's my number 2. Andy?
Let's see here. My number 2 would have to be Steve and Dustin bonding over Farrah Fawcett and Fabergé. It was just, letting down the guard moment, kind of a passing the torch on, like, all right, here's the secrets, dude. And, maybe his advice is ill-advised, and he is not one to talk as far as being the ladies' man. However, as they have said throughout this season, he was previously the king of this school, and so he was getting it before he started losing it.
Steve was getting it.
And his heart's in the right place, too, even though he might not be giving the best advice.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I feel like it's been the elephant in the room this entire series, Steve's hair. And finally, like, somebody just openly acknowledges it. Like, we don't all have your perfect hair, Steve. He's like, it's not about the hair. Gives some advice, and he's like, all right, this is how you do it. It's fucking awesome.
This is the secret behind the hair.
Steve, you're number 2.
My number 2 is the same as yours. Hopper's call to 11. It's just super sweet but also heartbreaking because he's pouring his soul out
to an empty room.
Which
is a Radiohead song, I think.
Is it? It sounds like it could be. But yeah, he's pouring his heart out to an empty room. But even when you think of it from his perspective, Elle's probably there just mad at him still. And even that small touch of him, like, make sure you eat peas, even though you hate them. Yeah. Like, he's still, like, in total, like, parent mode for this girl that's not, like, his actual child, but he sees her as so.
And where is Elle? We'll just do an Elle watch real quick. She had just pulled out of the Inside Out and knows that Becky's probably sinister, correct? That's where we left her?
I don't think she knows Becky's sinister, just that she knows.
That was just your theory.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we know she now knows what's going on with her mom, and presumably she's just chilling at Becky's checking out butts.
Yeah.
Chilling at Becky's, checking out butts.
That'd be so funny. We cut to her. Becky! Oh my God. Look at her butt.
Also, I looked it up while you guys were talking. The actress that plays Max is Sadie Sink.
Sadie Sink.
Sadie Sunk. That my expectations of that scene. God damn it, the backstory.
Sadie's sunk.
Come up with a reason to have said that.
Thank you. Bring it down. Cut to. My number 1 is Breakfast with Murray. That's crazy for that to be number 1.
I said, what about Breakfast with Murray's?
Honestly, Chapter 6, Season 2 is one of my favorite episodes of all time. I think this was a wonderful episode. There was so many character moments where we got to see them grow and characters that we've never seen together before grow closer together. We saw so much vulnerability with Noah, with Hop, with Joyce, Bob's brought into the fold. We even see Mad Max crumble and become human for a moment. And that's what makes this show great. And then they mixed in all the perfect amounts of humor, the wonderful horror elements that I know Stranger Things for. I don't think it gets enough credit for being, at times, just an incredible exhibition of the genre of horror. All of that's in this episode. I absolutely loved it. But my favorite moment of all of that is Breakfast at Murray's. I think his character has no place in this show, and for some reason, I love it. It's just strange to me. It shows what else the Duffers can do. There's something so, I don't know, like Big Lebowski-esque about his character. Not the dude, but just he belongs in that movie.
You're absolutely right.
I love when he misses his mouth with the egg.
He's all creepy about it, like it was part of his joke or something. Oops.
I think that was probably ad-libbed. Like, I can't see, like, rehearsing that and having that work,
Sure. How was the pullout? Love it. Anyway, my number 1 is Breakfast with Murray. Andy.
My number 1 would have to be It's a Trap. Finding out that Will knew that it was he was sending these nameless scientists to their doom.
Specifically the soldiers dying, or Will finding out that?
Well, the whole sequence. I mean, it's only like 45 seconds in which all of that happens. And Mike has his little like, oh my God, we have to warn them, and runs up, and they're like, no, it's too late. There's nothing you can do. And then we see the excellent horror shots, because we don't get enough of those, of all of these soldiers going down, and then periodically we cut to like the body cameras going off, and I'm not sure if they would have had body cameras in the 80s, but I'm just gonna put that anachronism on the back burner and just go along with it because it was awesome. Like, oh shit.
That was probably an Ego as well.
Yeah,
The
I
body
think
cameras
so.
shutting. I mean, that's been used a lot at the very least.
For sure.
Well, I think the way it's shot definitely is, but we'll get to that.
And then to cap it all off with the fucking final shot of like, oh fuck, here they all come. And there's so many Demogorgons on the little radar
radar,
thing.
yeah.
There's like at least 20 of them.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's very two-eared.
We forgot to talk about as well, just real quick, when Will is like fully being taken over by the shadow monster, and he is looking at the soldiers as Mike is trying to break through to warn them, and he like really focuses on that army issue Glock pistol, and you can tell that he's being like.
That was before the trap. That was when Joyce was trying to get into the doctor's meeting.
Oh, that's true.
I think that's
true.
how the shadow monster is able to see through Will where he is. Like he's with the enemy, quote unquote. Because he sees that Glock and he's like, the soldiers did that and the soldiers are here. So
They're the ones that burned me.
yeah.
So you took that as the monster's recognition of who these people were.
Yeah.
I
Like
took that
Will's
as,
with
like,
those people that burned him.
He's going to go even crazier at some point and like grab a pistol. But
I mean, that could still happen. That'd be kind of crazy seeing Will wielding the Glock.
we will see. It's like, break yourself, Hawkins Lab. Anyway, Steve, you're number one.
My number one is, I think it was Andy's number 3, which was Steve and the kids versus the Demogorgons in the foggy night. I really love the scene because it's just fun. It's fun. We get to see Steve be a badass. He's got the bat. The kids have their own little moments. One moment that I think we haven't touched on that I'll add to is that adds to Steve's heroics in the scene. Is when he retreats because there's so many of them. He retreats to the bus. He's holding the metal plate against the door, trying to keep them from busting in. And then that one hops on the top and it's about to come in through the roof of the bus, and it's looking at Max. And Steve immediately is just there and he's like, back away. And he puts himself between them and this immediate threat. And he's like, I thought he was going to like take his bat and just kind of
I kept
shove it up there.
expecting it.
But he's got it there kind of in this very almost self-sacrificing, like if this thing comes down here, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
But at least maybe I'll buy these kids time.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really subtle but big character moment for Steve. He's a badass. We like
They're
Steve.
really hammering it home, knowing that Nancy's getting hammered home at this moment. that we are not super happy about it. You know what I mean? Because he just keeps getting better and better.
You know what? I changed mine. That's my number 1 too.
Can't do that, Andy.
Andy Stamp.
Andy
it.
Stamp.
Andy's
It's
like,
over.
Edit point. Steve, do we have another segment? Because we've still got like 6 minutes until we get to where a show normally ends.
Yeah, we do have another segment. It's called Easter Eggos. Easter Eggos is when we review the episode and we write down a list of cultural, film, art, comic books, product placement, any sort of reference that is within the episode that they are calling back to.
That sounds wonderful.
Well, I guess I'll start.
Do it.
I'll do my usual music I heard. Hammer to Fall by Queen. We already mentioned that briefly before. We had Blue Bayou by Roy Orbison.
That was great.
I love Roy.
You're on a first name basis with Roy?
Yeah, me and Roy were tight.
Me and Orby.
Me and him, only the lonely, you know? And then Billy, while he was working out, clanging and banging, pumping the iron, he was listening to Round and Round by Rat.
Clanging and banging. I'm going to just drop a few obvious ones out here. There was a Jaws poster still in
Still there.
still in Will's room. They mentioned Farrah Fawcett. And the train tracks is, again, another reference to Stand By Me, sort of, even though there's only 2 of them this time. Andy, some quick ones for you.
There is a poster in Max's room for The Endless Summer. Is a 1966 movie.
Oh.
And the rest of mine have already been said. That was it.
Oh,
okay.
I have a lack of Eggos.
I also wrote down that
A dearth?
A dearth.
Yeah.
I tried to use a different word.
the Polaroids, I'm going to go ahead and call an Eggo, because that's just a wonderful little throwback tool that is super obsolete. You can't even really get Polaroid film anymore, and it was used
expensive.
twice. I also think that I mean, it's obvious that his Will's possession to this point is progressing to where it is a lot more like The Exorcist. I didn't see him masturbating with a crucifix yet.
There's still time.
There's still plenty of time for that.
Mother's being ass fucked in hell.
I still think that Joyce Byers in The Scrubs is another Terminator reference, but this time Judgment Day, where she is Linda Hamilton's. I hope we see Joyce at some point smoking a cigarette and doing pull-ups and sticking a syringe into Paul Reiser's neck to bust out of there. I just really crave that. But that's all I got, and I made most of those up. Wait, no, Luke is on top of the bus with the face paintish stuff, and the camo headband was very Warriors-esque for me in the junkyard, especially with Steve also there.
With his nail bat.
Steve, take us home with some really good ones.
I've got a lot, actually. The shot where Dustin and Steve go to the basement and they see the hole that Dart has dug. There's that pull-out shot where you see Dustin and Steve looking into the hole, and then it like pulls back.
The Shawshank shot.
The Shawshank shot from when Andy Dufresne busts out. The scene with Jonathan and Nancy where they're, I guess, sexually frustrated and they don't know if they should talk to each other. I think the earliest I can remember seeing a scene like that was Temple of Doom with Indiana Jones.
Is there really an Indiana Jones one like that?
Yeah, it's in Temple of Doom. It's Indiana Jones and what's Spielberg's ex-wife's name that's in that movie for some reason?
I don't recall.
But you know who I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
The annoying blonde girl in Temple of Doom that almost single-handedly ruins that movie.
Yes.
She there's that scene where they've made it to, I forget what the palace is, but it's after the monkey brains where they're like
Doom
in
Palace?
separate rooms, and she's like, "I'll tell Indy what I think, man." There's like, and then it cuts to him in the room like, "Stupid girl," and they kind of do the same thing. I don't think they actually get to going down to business, but there's that cut back and forth like, "Oh, I'm going to talk to them," and then I think she finally goes to his room to give him what for, but he's in the room getting attacked by ninjas or some shit.
Yeah. And his name is Indiana, which is the state that this takes place in. Wow. What else you got for us, Steve?
I saw a "He's Watching You" propaganda poster from Murray in Murray's basement.
Oh yeah, and there's a MC5 poster. That was a anti-establishment rock band in the 80s. I forgot to write that one down.
In Murray's basement? Mm-hmm. Hell yeah. And then, obviously, I think early on, when we first started talking about the season, you made a prediction, Chris, about how like the season's going to rip off of Terminator a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like this is the episode that cemented, like, they're ripping off Aliens a lot.
Yes.
From the blue screen with the body cameras...
Yes.
To the whole scene of them like being in one area. The one guy literally says, "Stay frosty, boys," which is what the sergeant would always say.
Yeah.
And then you've got the ping, 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 the motion tracker.
Yeah.
No, I think is that the same noise from Aliens?
Probably.
That it's making. Anyway, it's just, and then Paul Reiser obviously is there.
Yeah.
It's just such a big
It's the new
callback
ET.
to Aliens. Yeah, it's a new ET. Yeah.
Aliens is the new ET.
And then my last one, I don't know if this is an Easter egg, but this is what the shot reminded me of. That shot where it's the one soldier and the flashlights are like, whoa, like, you know, being thrown down dramatically.
The Raptors.
Is the Raptors from the Lost World Jurassic Park when they're in the long grass and you just see flashlights being sucked down to the ground.
Very well, Spielberg again, we'll say.
Yeah.
Even though I don't think he directed Lost World, did he?
He did.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh, why did it suck so bad?
Lost World was good. 3 sucked.
3's the worst.
Yeah.
The worst.
I can't watch that.
I actually like Jurassic World, by the way. I don't care what
I like
anybody
Jurassic
says.
World.
Thank you.
Oh, me
Thank you,
too.
Steve.
It's a stupid ass movie, but
It's
I love it.
fun.
It's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, this isn't Jurassic World things. I think that's all we have for Chapter 6. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's just, again, real fast. I'm very good at talking quickly, so I'll just run you guys through it real quick again. If you want to please rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast, that would be wonderful. If you have any feedback, email that to streamingthingspod@gmail.com. We would absolutely love that. And tell us what show or movie you want us to do next after Stranger Things 2 is done. If you want us to stop, just don't send any emails, and we'll just shut the podcast down. We'll just assume you don't like us. So, yeah, a little pressure there.
Oh no. Thank you.
That's all we got. Look forward to Chapter 7 coming to you soon. My name is Chris.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Steve.
And this has been Streaming Things.
Dreaming Day.
Cue the outro. we go back to the bus yet another time, and I'm going to cough, so I'm just fucking pissed off right now. At whatever time that is, you probably need to mark.
47.
Hey, he coughed.
47.50.
Sorry.
Dr. Brenner here. I'd just like to offer you a prescription to go for your cough there. You just meet me at my lab and allow me to conduct some experiments on you. It'll be safe, supreme. I'll only melt your brain a little.
Take some LSD.
Do you like LSD? It's my experience that people really get a kick out of it. 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 Get a kick out of it.